How's the picture?
Looks good.
Does it need more light?
I don't think so. I think you look good.
All right. Well, I feel good. I got my
Love it.
got
Love
the
it.
gear on.
You're always sporting the Rhino.
Dude, I read Scott Alexander's book years ago called Rhino Success. And I had the chance to meet him about 15 years ago. And I just like rhinoceroses. They're
we
just
have that in common.
And I liked Carhartt in the 80s and 90s before it was cool. So every time you came out with Carhartt stuff, I was like, yeah, I'm buying that.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun stuff, though. I mean, I swear to God, I wonder how many people I don't want to. And I didn't. Well, I guess we're recording.
Yeah, I think as soon as you let somebody on, it starts recording.
Oh, that's quick. All right, that's what I was going to just reinforce that I'm still a novice after like 30 years of video work, but screwing around with your podcast setup and your gear, your equipment, I think that's probably I'm hoping that's like 99% of the podcasters. The 1% are the killers, and they have it all set, but the rest of us are just doing this as a hobby and trying to figure it out.
No, 100%. And, I could see you got mics, I got mics, but I don't know how to work any of it.
Yeah.
And I guess if the Intensity podcast gets to a point where you've got viewership like Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan, then you can pay somebody that loves to geek out on this.
And even Rogan only has one producer, and he's had him forever. It's a neat deal. But let me get into it here. Welcome to the Intensity Podcast. I'm your host, Hans the Hammer Hartleben. This is podcast episode number 43 with Joe Bush. And guys, I want to say, because Joe, we have podcast listeners. We were talking a little bit before the show, but the small podcast, but we have listeners around the whole world. Singapore, Finland. I talk about Singapore a lot just because it's outstanding. Finland, literally covering the whole world. And I am beside myself on how I'm still caught up on the internet. How cool it is. And that you can reach and you can have a little production and outreach so many thousands of miles. It's a powerful concept. But yeah, we're with Joe Bush today, and Joe and I met. And instantly we met, and it was no big deal, and we were just instantly friends. It was just one of those relationships where we had a lot in common, and we were on the same page right away, and we just ran with it. It was just there was really no small talk. Joe is a Hope ambassador for Alovea, a huge company, and his network, and they're doing $150,000 in sales per week. Okay. This is the show of go-getters and hustlers. And that's why Joe is here today. We're going to learn a little bit from Joe, maybe a lot. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And I'm going to jump right into it, Joe. The last time I saw you, you had hippie hair. You had hair like I haven't seen before, and now we look all trimmed and cut up. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so it's interesting how life pans out, right? And so I have a daughter who will be 10 years old in first week of February. And through our company, we have a program where every time we sell a serving of our food technology, we then nourish a child with that same technology. And so you go back to, I believe it was September of 22, my daughter and I were in Hawaii, and we as a group our community had just hit 2 million servings to children in need. And my daughter literally has never had a haircut, and she's 10. I mean, she literally was bald until she was like 5. And so she said to me, "Dad, why don't you not cut your hair until you get to 5 million servings?" And I said, "How about 3 million?" And she said, "How about 6?" And I said, 5 it is. And, every 4 weeks I could cut the sides. Otherwise, I probably would have killed somebody.
It gets aggravating. I had the little man bun for a little while, and that was tough. So what you had was just,
it was ridiculous. Yeah. I mean,
it was a statement. You were making a statement.
Well, and that's the whole point is in life, and you know this, Hans, in life, the things that are easy to do will bring you success, but they're also easy not to do. And it's easy to not get your hair cut, but it's also easy to get your hair cut. So my whole point was, if I committed to doing this, then I was going to do it. And, the first 24 months weren't bad. It was kind of neat, kind of fun, kind of different. The last 14 months, man, I don't know how women do it.
14 months is a long time, dude.
Well, it was 36 months.
This was a journey.
Yeah, this was 36 months. 3 years. Yeah.
Wow. But you 5 million kids you fed.
Yeah. So
can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So when I started, and I'd have to go back and look at the exact dates, but it was like when my daughter threw down the gauntlet, it was October, September of 2022. And I had just literally shaved my head because I used to shave my head like every couple of weeks, And so I literally grew the top. I could cut the sides and the back every 4 weeks, but I grew the top of my hair out. And then I finally got it cut the week of Christmas 2025. So it was like, if I think I remember correctly, it was 38 months. And I don't know how women do it, to be honest with you, with the conditioners and every morning I would brush it and it was like.
They have it so much harder than we do, Joe.
Dude. And just the shower drain and like having it in a ponytail for 3 years straight. I mean, I don't know how women do it, but it was.
Yeah, you can appreciate it a lot more now.
100%. And my neck pain. I mean, it was stupid. It was really kind of a stupid challenge. But the point is, you can have success in anything by doing the unglamorous, I always say the unsexy shit over and over and over will produce the results you want, will produce the life you want. And so there's nothing, hard about not cutting your hair. It's just, do you have the integrity to own your word? You know what I mean? And I made a promise to my daughter, and of all the people in the world, she's one of the last people I'd want to break my commitment to.
Absolutely. Wow. So, yeah, I do love that.
Yeah, we hit 5 million servings. I believe it was like December 20th, give or take. And so I got my hair cut the next day, and I actually have the hair downstairs taped to my vision board.
Well, you got to keep that as a souvenir. It's the least you could do.
I'm going to get a visor and glue some of it on the back so people can wear.
You would. Hey, if you know like Joe, guys, he's not bullshitting you, and he means it. And we're going to see hair on a visor soon, I'm sure. Yeah. How does that, when you're talking about feeding in these meals, 5 million, and I was on the website and everything, and just how does that all work? I mean, it's really a neat deal.
So it's crazy how, you kind of fall into things. But long story short, we've got, and I can get into the history of it, but long story short, we've got patented technology. We have the most researched molecule in the history of mankind is a molecule called Acemannan. And we have the patent that stabilizes Acemannan, and we can get into. I got all the. We have 40 years worth of science and $200 million of clinical research. I can talk science for the next 4 days, but long story short, we have this patent. We then put this aloe carbohydrate polysaccharide into about 10 or 12 lifestyle products, and it is the only thing out there currently besides human breast milk that modulates the immune system. And what I mean by modulate is there's a lot of things that boost the immune system, but Acemannan is the only thing that shows to increase stem cell production by up to 400% naturally. It's the only thing that, if you have an overactive immune system, will bring it down. If you have an underperforming immune system, it's probably 85% of Americans. It brings it up. So we have this patent. It was originally founded and discovered by a pharmaceutical company that their intention was to take it to market as a pharmaceutical drug. And they did all kinds of clinicals. Amazing science. And when it came down to it, they didn't pass FDA approval because it wasn't toxic. And we don't need to go on a political rant here, but if your listeners want to Google LD50, LD100, they can go to acemannanfacts.com and see 40 years worth of clinical research by MDs. Really powerful stuff. And so the company is owned or run by two Christian nonprofit organizations. So you have Manna Relief and you have Nation Changers International. They own the patents that we have. And so their goal as nonprofits is to eradicate malnutrition in children across the globe. Now, when you say that, that's a mouthful. So what that means is every 5 or 6 seconds, a kid dies from malnutrition worldwide. It's 7 million kids a year. So our goal as a company is if we can get 3.5 million people to eat 2 of our servings a day, we'll, in essence, nourish 7 million kids. So, we do it through orphanages. We do it through governments. One of our biggest partners is Vicente Fox in Mexico, former president. But that's our goal. That's our big, hairy, audacious goal. And we can do that because when the Farm Bill passed, there was a new creation for business. So most people understand for-profit and most people understand nonprofit. Well, we're the first company that kind of bridges that gap. We're a for-benefit corporation, which means we can donate, like Target can only donate 10% of their gross revenue or they have to pay tax on it. We can donate as much as we want. So we do a buy one, give one model. And we can do that because our main goal is not to create profit and, fund shareholder equity and, have private jets and all those things. Our goal is to eradicate malnutrition. So
create benefit.
Correct. And so we can do things, we can give on a scale that most companies can't. We basically kind of hijack the model from, you remember, you're old enough, the shoe company, Tom's Shoes?
No. See, I'm not old enough.
There's a company, and they're called Tom's, T-O-M-S,
Honestly,
shoes.
I do not.
And you bought a pair of shoes, and Blake Mikowski from Ohio gave a pair away to a kid that needed it. And so it took him about 10 years to sell 2 million pairs of shoes, but he gave away 2 million pair, kind of a cool deal. There's some other social businesses out there. One's Bombay Socks. You buy a pair of their socks, they give a pair to a homeless shelter. There's Warburg Parky glasses where you buy a pair of glasses through Warburg Parky. They donate a pair of glasses to children in need. So we basically hijack that model and use nutraceuticals to move the cause forward. And so since we started in February of 2016, and as a company, we're creeping up on 65 million servings.
It's amazing. That's amazing, Joe. Since you said the word nutraceuticals, can you fill us in on nutraceuticals versus health supplements?
Yes. So, and again, I'm not a doctor, but so I just try to make common sense of it is, there's never an all or an every, but typically in the supplements world, there's about 5 companies that make all the supplements in the world. And then a lot of times they're, then sold on the open market and rebranded. And that's, it's a lot healthier than a lot of the options out there, but a lot of these companies don't own their science. So we own our patents, we own our science, and we don't use any synthetics. We don't use any fillers. We use, a lot of times there'll be, let's say the new buzz thing is turmeric, right? Mm-hmm. Companies will add turmeric to their products because that's the new hot thing. but they don't necessarily have efficacious dosages. It's just in there because it looks good on the label. So
yeah, kind of like magnesium now too.
Yeah, the biggest difference between a nutraceutical and a supplement is a nutraceutical is basically, whole food nutrition without synthetics, more of a pharmaceutical grade. Even though we're not pharmaceutical, we're like, real science, I guess, is the basis.
Just looking at the name, nutritious pharmaceuticals.
Correct. It's and if people, you can really go into the rabbit hole on Acemannan, and that's our primary technology. And then we've got the Betalin technology that you've had, Hansi, before, is the Limitless.
Yep, and I have it right in front of me.
Yeah, so here's I'll give you a story on Limitless.
Yeah, please do. This is a super interesting supplement to me.
Yeah, so
as it pertains to inflammation, you got me thinking about inflammation and asthma and the whole thing. But just run with this.
We can't, we don't treat, mitigate, or cure. We're not a pharmaceutical company, right? We don't have FDA approval, and that's okay.
Which is just to jump in this FDA approval. I know this is what I do. You tapped on a little bit, from everything I read. FDA is just, there's a price tag on FDA, and that's really all there is to it. How much you want to pay if you want to get approved?
Yes and no. A lot of times, yes, because big pharma, the FDA is going to take care of their biggest client, which is big pharma. And so, there's a lot of interesting studies on that. You can look up a guy, Jonathan Emore. He's known as the FDA Slayer. He's our attorney. He's Kennedy's attorney. But long story short, if the first thing they do with a drug, so let's take ibuprofen, because everybody knows Advil, ibuprofen, they're the same thing. So in order to get that FDA approved, the first step is they establish toxicity. So they take, 50 mice, and they give the Advil or the ibuprofen to the mice until 50% of the mice die at a specific dosage. Then they do the same experiment and they get 100% of the mice to die at the same dosage. Then they use those two equations to establish toxicity in humans. So
you weren't kidding when you said that.
No.
You mentioned toxic. It's not toxic enough.
Yeah. So in order for a drug to be FDA approved, two things have to happen. Number one, it has to have a toxic threshold. Number two, it has to have a drug effect. Okay. And that's a little gray, but people can look into that if they want to. Acemannan is the best thing for your body. The original patent they had from Carrington Labs was a utility patent. And it said any disease that requires the intervention of the human immune system would greatly benefit from taking Acemannan. So that's everything. The only other place you can find mannose and polysaccharide like Acemannan is in human breast milk.
Wow.
And it's also in the fresh gel of an aloe vera plant. The problem is once you crack that aloe vera plant, you got about 12 hours, and that carbohydrate, that Acemannan molecule, is a labile molecule, and basically it disintegrates, eats itself, so it's gone. So when someone says, hey, they have the power of aloe, unless they're getting Acemannan from us, more than likely it's marketing versus science. And so, with the Betalins, we can't say, that we're an anti-inflammatory. We can't say pain because we're not a drug, but we can say that with the Betalins, we can lower the biomarkers of inflammation in a human body by 47% in 90 minutes naturally. So there was a doctor out of Cornell who got a $5 million grant from the U.S. government to find the best anti-inflammatory in the world, natural anti-inflammatory, and he found it in the root of a sugar beet. Okay? Now, you know this, Hansi. A sugar beet is full of
sugar,
right? And sugar is
an inflammatory.
That's good. You nailed it. Everybody gets that one. So sugar causes an inflammation response. So you can eat all the beets that you want to. You're not going to get any inflammation lowering, or you're not going to lower your biomarkers of inflammation by eating beets. Okay? Because the sugar counteracts the betalins that are in the beet.
Does this have anything to do with the sugar fasting?
Yes. I mean,
philosophies.
when you once you learn about sugar, and here's a perfect example. I mean, the sugar is everywhere. There's natural sugar, there's fake sugars, and obviously the natural ones are better, but sugar in general is not the best thing for you, right? Okay. Fat's better than sugar, and there's, the science has come a long way in the last 20 years on that. But so this guy was able to take a sugar beet, and he was able to, through a process, to take all the sugar out, but keep the beta-alanine in that little capsule that you have. That little capsule is like the equivalent to eating 500 beets with no sugar and no starch. So the guy did his clinicals with a couple of Division I baseball teams in California over about a 5-year period, and he saw that when you took this, deoxidized your blood, it added oxygen to your blood. It did a lot of beneficial things for, it's a vasodilator, so blood flow, and, it helps with repair and tear and all the things. So there was a big pharmaceutical company, I won't mention their name, that offered him $49 million for the patent. And he decided not to sell it to them because they would have just, burned it in the, fire pit. And he donated it to us because we're using that as one of our primary technologies. So because we're saving kids, it opens us up to a ton of really cool science that we get because, you do good and good things happen.
When you see a lot of the beets, super beets, just for inflammation, but that stuff's all packed with sugar. Tastes great.
Once you publish your clinical findings, I mean, we live in a world where people want to make money, and that's a good thing. And so if you had a patent that, pulled the beta-alanine out with no sugar, and you were going to sell it for, depends on how you buy it. If you buy it right, $60 for a month, or if you buy it wrong, $75 for a month, and I could piggyback you for $9.99 and just grind up beets. That's what sugar beets is. You know what I mean? So
makes sense.
It's I'm sure there are some health benefits to it somewhere, maybe with digestion or something else, but
right.
It's nobody can argue our science. I mean, I have a lot of health professionals at a lot of some of the most prestigious places in the world that absolutely love our science, but because we're not a drug, we don't fall into standard of care. They really can't promote it or talk about it for fear of losing, maybe their ability to practice medicine.
Isn't that something? I mean, a company of this size and what you guys are doing on the spectrum of health and benefit and value, and you really, in essence, are fighting an uphill battle against evil.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around. And some people that, I'm close with, even if it's, everything is media, the media is right. I saw it on the news, and that's what you're up against.
Well, you're going to love this. So I've been sharing this technology for, it'll be 11 years pretty soon here. And up until COVID, when I talked about the FDA and I talked about the USDA, people thought, especially because I moved here from a state, I didn't know anybody, people thought I was an absolute kook.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I'm sure.
Then once people found out that COVID was in the thralls of COVID, that ivermectin was actually created by a couple of doctors in 1974, and they won the Nobel Peace Prize for an antiviral, antibacterial drug, ivermectin, that the media and everybody was saying was horse goo, and get people like Joe Rogan started talking about that. People have kind of woke up to the idea that maybe there's some other things out there, right?
I agree with you as far as just the pandemic and how it was handled, exposed, simultaneously a lot out there that the average person was overlooking.
100% greed, really. And so when the
and
guys,
falsehoods,
yeah, well, and so
straight up lies,
and people are programmable, and if you scare somebody, it's easy to sway them. And so you look at the, like, people literally, we could do 5 hours on Acemannan, because I mean, if once the pharmaceutical company couldn't get it FDA approved, they had to recoup $100 million that they raised for clinicals. And so they were scared, right, Carrington? And so they ended up selling the topical rights of Acemannan to the U.S. military. So since the 80s, if you get blown up somewhere, they put an Acemannan salve on you if you're in the field. Good things.
Oh, shit.
Veterinary medicine. If you had a horse or a really expensive dog, and you wanted to, get your dog or horse vaccinated for cancer, you could go to your vet and get a very expensive vaccine for cancer, and that vaccine for cancer is called Acemannan. The problem is with, the USDA doesn't have to prove toxicity to call it a drug. So, it's just the amount of stories I've seen the last 11 years, and people that were absolutely like down and out, no hope, stage 4, this, that, bad things. And 9-10 years later, they're still with us. They're walking around healthier than ever.
How is that administered then? How is that Acemannan, in what form? Like, how is that, injections, or how does that play out?
For the veterinarians, I think it's injection. They used to use it in chickens too. But
when you're talking about cancer patients and such.
Well, if somebody, you can take it. Basically, we have a product called Immune that is it's 200 milligrams of just straight Acemannan. But we also put it in every single product that we sell. I
have that.
Everybody on the planet should be taking Acemannan, because what it does is, I like simple analogies. Let's think of your immune system. Your immune system's like the Marine Corps. Okay. So and granted, if you're a medical professional and you're watching this, I'm just a guy that's heard a bunch of cool stories, but your immune system is like the Marine Corps. And so if most people have an underperforming immune system, so they just don't have enough Marines, well, Acemannan will, you ingest it, and it will help build more Marines. If you have
would those be considered antibodies then?
Yeah, it's a sugar, and you have all these receptors on your cells and your organs that are looking for Acemannan. It's mannose. So it gets converted into this sugar, and it allows for your body to increase stem cell production by 400%. So the new thing is now everyone is getting stem cell injections.
Yep, right.
But if you're getting stem cells from someone that's not of your lineage, there's a real danger in that, because you could take stem cells, and if you had some rogue cells in your body, they could just go there and glom on and make that clump of rogue cells bigger.
Right.
If you can read between the lines.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
for the same reason, I just want to add that human growth hormone and such is danger if you have cancer.
100%. And so what we do is, if you have to trick your body into doing its own, if you have to use a replacement or a trick to get the body to produce something, or you have to give the body something it's not producing, that's really not a fix. So everything that we have is designed to work within your body to get your body to homeostasis. So if your immune system is underperforming, it brings it up. If you have, let's say, an overperforming immune system, about 15% of the population has an autoimmune disorder, then what it'll do is, think of the Marines. There's plenty of Marines. They just don't have radios. So what Immune or Acemannan will do is it will give them radios so they can talk better. Okay. Because if those Marines without the radios, you take away their nicotine and their caffeine, then they just kill everything, And so that's, if you have somebody that has a overactive immune system and you give them a immune booster, you could kill them. So that's why people.
Excellent analogy though.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we do. We work with the body. And I mean, the studies that we have, and we've got some, like if someone wants to go there, the guy who his name's Dr. Reg McDaniel, and he ran Dallas Fort Worth General Hospital. And then he's been studying Acemannan for 40 years. He's got a website. It's acemannanfacts.com. And he's got 40 years worth of clinical studies and research that will blow your mind. And so that's our primary technology. We put it in everything from coffee to energy drinks to whole food vitamins. We have a new fish oil that's unlike anything else in the market. So
where can people go besides this, just getting the Acemannan stuff? What's the URL to your site?
It's loveisatthecenter.com. LOVE is at thecenter.com. And that'll take
That's
you
where
to
they
my
can find
website.
all these awesome products you're talking about right now.
All the products we have. And, I can give them my phone number too. They can always call me. We can walk through it. And, 651-246-3918.
He's not afraid.
Give me a call. I'm not afraid. Bring it.
Where else can they find you? And I'm not wrapping this up. I just want to, if they want to, I'd rather have them go through you first so you could point them in the right direction versus them just going to the website wild.
Yeah. So, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram.
Joe Bush.
Joe Bush. Yep. BUSCH, like the beer. It's a 2-syllable name.
Not Joe Dirt.
Simple. Yep. Joe Bush. Hans and Joe Bush. Great names. But yeah, if people want the science, most people just want to know it works. And a good friend of mine, I grew up in Rochester, Minnesota, and a lot of the people that I grew up with worked in the medical world. So when I learned about this in 2014, I took it to one of my friend's fathers, who was one of the most famous doctors, MDs, at the big hospital in Rochester. And I showed him all the science. And
is that the Mayo Clinic?
It is. Yep. And he told me some stories about, nutraceuticals and how medicine has changed since he got out of it, and some different things. That's why I'm not going to mention his name. But he also told me, that he knew of a doctor that was, talking about this stuff. And so when this family friend said, this is real science, then I got really interested. And my mom was suffering from migraines and some other things, and we got her on Acemannan. And over the course of about 3 months, she's now been, basically migraine free for 10 years.
Which exact product did she take, just if they're listening and they are suffering from some of these things?
She was taking Limitless, Immune, and Balance. What I tell people, our packaging and our like combo deals and our protocols have come a long way since then. So I recommend everybody do the Targeted Health Stack, because you get the glyconutrients and core, you get the OptiPack, which has got 4 different products in it. It's got the fermented whole food vitamin, and then a product of your choice for less than $7 a day. I just recommend everybody do that because it's the best deal. The stories, literally, Hans, every other day I get a call from somebody, and it's, my blood pressure was this, now it's this. My prostate numbers were this, now it's this. And, my mom was diagnosed with the C, and she had multiple growths in her intestines. And she did all the Western medicine treatments that her doctor suggested. But I supplemented her with a very high amount of Acemannan every day, and she still takes it to this day. And they were saying, 6 years ago that maybe she had a year. And as of last October, she's been cancer-free 5 years. And she went through all the treatment.
Cancer.
Yeah, she had intestinal cancer.
Cancer.
Yep. And so, but, I've got people that are very pro Western medicine. And I think, we live in the greatest country in the world for emergency quick care. And, you're not disservicing them by saying that. It's just, there are some gaps here that people are not taking advantage of when you're talking about
preventative health care.
100%.
You know, I mean, the hospital's going to stop the bleeding. You know, they do a great job.
Yeah. And I mean, in the top 40 industrial nations in the world, we're number 38th in health. And we spend more on healthcare than the top 35 combined. So if you saw your arm off, if you fall off of a bridge, you're in a car accident, you want to be in America. Don't get me wrong. But we have a sick care system where we mitigate symptoms versus attempting to get to the root cause of things. And, you know, things are changing and things are getting better every day. And there's new, younger doctors that have more of an integrative health approach, and that's a good thing. And what I've learned, and you know this, Hans, is the truth doesn't mind being questioned. You can question me all you want. You can say whatever you want. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. But the truth never minds being questioned. So that's just a tip for life. If you're questioning somebody and they're getting upset because you're questioning them, then maybe they're hiding something.
Yeah, good point. Great point. Yeah, this is, I love going deep on this science. I had some other questions for you as far as running your team and everything else. But I like staying on this is just outstanding.
What do you got, man? Fire away.
Like the geeky shit, man. I mean, I really do.
Well, so think of it this way, okay? And this is all backed up. If people want to go to Acemannan Facts, they can look at it. When this was discovered by Carrington Labs, which was the pharmaceutical company out of Southwest Medical School in Dallas, you know, they had a bunch of research pharmacologists. They believed that they had the greatest thing since penicillin. And so, you know, in the late 80s, the biggest challenge in the world was this disease that, you know, is 4 letters or 3 letters. And that was the biggest scare out there. And so, you know, they spent a lot of money taking people that were diagnosed with HIV, AIDS, and giving them high dosages of Acemannan just to see how their immune system would respond, because the number one killer of people with cancer or HIV or AIDS is not the cancer, the HIV or AIDS. It's pneumonia. So if you can keep the immune system functioning while they're going through their treatments, the patient outcome is just so much better. And so that's beautiful. There was a lot of research that came out, and there was a few doctors in Canada and a few doctors in America that were very big on what Acemannan could do and how Acemannan could just basically, because there's never been a drug, any kind of drug that's helped make the immune system function more effectively, right? Now there's a few immunotherapies that are getting close, but even that's not, you know, it's, you know, nothing works better to solve a problem in the body than the body's natural way to solve it. Okay. And there was a young doctor at the time. A lot of people would recognize him from the guy on TV with COVID, who said, no, we're not going to go down this nutraceutical route. We're going to go with AZT. You know, otherwise Acemannan would have been a household name in the early 90s. The Olympic athletes, all the Olympic athletes for the track and field were working out of SMU at the time. So our Olympic athletes have been taking Acemannan for a long time. So you'll run into certain groups of people that know what it is. I mean, I have a ton of professional MMA fighters, professional athletes, bodybuilders that, you know, they will take Acemannan until they no longer can breathe, because they see what it does just for their human physiology. And it makes everything else you do better.
Well, I'm definitely getting back on it. You know, I got hooked up with your supplements, and it's just like anything, you know, we have our own supplement company, very different, not as sophisticated as this by measures. But if you don't get the full fact in all the education with it, sometimes you put it on the shelf, and because you don't know if it's working, or you forget why you're taking it, and you forget where this all stemmed from. So this is huge for me personally to go through this stuff because I have Immune, I have Limitless, and I liked them for a reason. You know what I mean? After everything goes, life happens, and all of a sudden you run into something else, another shiny object. It really all boils down to
100%.
Really good stuff.
It's interesting because, and I mean, my first experience with supplements is I was in college playing football. Let's see, it would have been 96. And that was when creatine, the first time, was a big deal.
Steroids.
Yeah, creatine, right? And yeah. And that's what they claimed it was like steroids.
It was right? Everybody hit the brakes on that. I just talked about this with somebody. This was the most black band type of deal. I don't know where you're going with this, but that was
you're gonna love this story because this is how long I've been doing it, Hansi. So I'm a freshman at college, and we're all buying creatine at GNC, and guys are putting on weight, they're putting on muscle mass. A lot of it was water weight at the beginning, but it helped with recovery and things, right? And you'd go to GNC and you'd buy let's say a pound of it, and it was like $60. My roommate, who ended up being the starting quarterback for 3 years, the following year, his dad was a veterinarian. So if you can see how our talk was going earlier, we talked to Dr. Larry. And Dr. Larry, because creatine is creatine, just like, ibuprofen is Advil, right? The drug is the supplement is the supplement. Now there's different, things they can add to it, and binders, and but in essence, creatine is creatine. So I bought a 55-gallon drum of horse creatine from him. And then I was selling it. We were selling it out of our dorm room for like $20 a pound.
Oh,
and so that's when I realized that, a drug, the same aspirin they give you when you go to, the hospital for your sprained ankle is the same aspirin they're giving, your 2,000-pound horse. It's just all based on weight and what's the word I'm looking for? Dosage.
Yeah. And marketed in a different fashion.
Correct.
Wow. So you run, with Alivea here. This is such interesting stuff, and I'm gonna look all this up. I do this for a living, and this is news to me. Why isn't this a household name? As far as Acemannan, even why aren't everybody educated on this? What do you do exactly in your business? You run, the way I understand it is you're running teams. And what I really want to know personally is how do you keep everybody organized, and how do you manage your teams in a most effective manner?
That's a really good question. And the short answer is the world doesn't need any more management. So I try not to manage anybody. I try to lead the people that are willing to follow, and I try to create leaders. Because if I have to drag you, whether it's to the gym or to church or to, brush your teeth, that's not going to work long term, right? And so, we're a very young company, really, and we're a very small company in the grand scheme of things. And I believe, right now in the state of Wisconsin, for example, there's maybe 3,000 people that have heard of us out of 6 million. And there's probably 35 states that nobody's heard of us just in the United States. And I think we're open now in like 12 countries. So, we're looking for people that are looking for more, looking for people that want to generally help people. When I first started, I thought the whole, helping kids was kind of a marketing ploy. And I was like, that's great. Great. You're saving kids. Lovely. But once I went down and I've been to the president of Mexico's house 5 times. And once you see the kids that we're nourishing, and you see, because in poor countries, the doctors, they'll take anything they can get their hands on that will help. They don't care if it's FDA approved. They just want the data. They want to create their own data. They want the science, and they want to get it to people. And so, when you get to see your impact, that's why we call it impact levels is, so, we have a lot of customers. It's primarily customers. Probably for every social business partner, people have 10 or 12 customers. And that's great because our numbers are ridiculous. If you eat Acemannan for 90 days, my retention over the last 10 years is right around 70%. Now, if you're in the supplement world, that's crazy. Usually it's 6. So, the science speaks for itself. The mission speaks for itself. And then on Essence, I've got people that are all about saving kids. Great. I've got people that just want to not be a type 2 diabetic anymore. Fabulous. I've got people that have health goals and they want to PR their marathon time at the age of 40. Fabulous. It's all about finding out what people are looking for and then seeing if you can be a solution. Right.
And you have a lot of those. You welcome any of those people.
100%. And so, we've got a program that if you're a customer with us and you refer a customer, we'll give you 20% off your next purchase on whatever that referral bought, because we don't have helicopters and an office space and all the CEOs. Everybody who works for Elevate, except for our customer service people, nobody's on salary. Nobody's, getting crazy money. It's all you're compensated based on the amount of servings you provide. And so it's truly, if you get paid to perform. Right. And so I've got people that, they love their morning coffee and they started drinking our Revived coffee, which has reishi mushrooms in it. It's got Arabica beans. It's low acidic. It's got Acemannan. And they do that for 7 days and they'll never go back to their coffee. And that's all they ever do is drink our coffee every day. But every day they save a kid. That's a win. And then I've got people that take every single one of our products and, they're training for their next, IBF show or their next MMA fight or, anywhere in, or the guy that has a bad back and, just wants to lose some weight, so it's like, a lot of times people, we hear a lot of like magnificent, crazy almost stories. And, but you help somebody. I've got multiple guys our age that were waking up 2-3 times a night and we put them on our balance, which is basically naturally balances our hormones. And now they don't get up 2-3 times a night to pee. That will change your life.
Yep.
Just that.
Yes, it will. Quality of life.
Right. So, and then I've got people that are the sickest of the sick of the sickest. And I can look them in the eye and say, worst case scenario, you will die better eating this. And it's the facts, So it's like I've seen so many stories in the last 11 years that like doesn't matter what anybody says. It's just real. And then getting to see the kids. And last year I was down in Mexico and we met this girl. I met this girl named Marlene, 7 years old. And, the story is kind of vague, but she was missing her left arm. And so I bought her a new left arm. And then I got to see her last August with her new prosthetic. And I mean,
that's cool.
We can make money any way we want, Hansi. But when you can help people and you can save kids and make money, sign me up, man. I'm in.
I love it. Well, you gotta have a career out of this, and it's just which avenue do you want to take? You got to pay the bills. You got to put food on the table. But you're doing it in a fashion that is just unreal. I mean, it's really something to be proud of.
I don't know if I really answered your question, but it's hard. I mean,
you're leading the people that want to go. You went off, but you hit it right away. I get it. I know it. It's that managing people that don't want to be managed. And why are they there? If you can sift through these people and be more of a magnet organically, I talk about Quick Trip, and people in Singapore and Finland aren't going to know what Quick Trip gas station is. It's only in Wisconsin for the most part, but they're a magnet for talent. They have a package, and the great employees that are interested find them. they don't have to manage as hard when you're doing that. So
because everybody wants to. You walk into a Quick Trip, I don't care if it's Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, and
it's not Illinois because they're never going to be in Illinois. They make that very clear. Illinois?
Okay, good. Well, I know they're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa.
Yeah.
And you walk in there, and 95% of the people there are excited to be there. They want to be there. They love what they do. It's a lot easier to work with that person. Now, that's not to say that, sometimes people don't have any hope. They're miserable. They're in pain, and they can turn into that person. And that's great. So I'm never going to judge anybody.
But do they want to be there?
Correct.
If they want to be there, we can help them get there.
Correct.
But I think both of us want to sift through the people, the staff, the industry professionals that don't want to be there. Sift through the go-getters and apply your time investment in your leadership skills and culture to the people that want to be there.
Yeah, because the leader sets the culture sets the pace, right? And nobody's perfect. Life happens. People make mistakes. I'm going to make 2 or 3 probably before we get off this podcast. So, we're human, but it's,
I think you had 4 mistakes. I've been writing them down with a tally. You had 4.
Good. No, that's good. But see,
you got 0.
Yeah, and so I'm looking. If someone's watching this and they're like, "This science sounds cool," we should have a chat. If you're watching this and you think, "Hey, my cousin Billy needs this," we should have a chat. If
Absolutely.
It's, "Hey, I don't love what I do," and you're telling me I could make, I've got people that make an extra $500 a month and they're excited about that, and I've got people that make $9,000 extra a month and they want to make 12. So wherever you fit is where you fit, and that's cool. Because at the end of the day, I'm just, when we start, literally when we're at 3.5 million servings a day and we're eradicating malnutrition across the world, they're going to write books about us, and I want to be in the book, man. That's it. I want to be in the book. I want my picture to be on a bunch of people's fireplace mantle saying, "Who's that crazy guy?" Oh, that's the guy that shared Alavea with Uncle Skippy, and bing, bada, bing, boom, here we are. You know what I mean? So, if I can help people raise the lid in their own life, then I win.
That's great. Love it. So if you fit into any one of these buckets, guys, you were interested in the products, interested in the opportunity, get a hold of Joel. He is a great guy, and he's very easy to talk to. And obviously, you can see for yourself and hear, super knowledgeable. Before I forget, I want to ask you about Joe has his own podcast also, and I don't know, has it officially launched yet?
We got a couple of episodes in the can, but I'm not the tech guy. I think that's more Jasper's. So I don't know if it's officially launched.
Okay.
But yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
But stay tuned with Joel. He's got a podcast coming out, Foxholes and Fire Pits. That's a hell of a name. And connect with him, and that's something you got coming out for fun, obviously.
Yep.
But
yep. My buddy was he had a career in the military that is movie worthy. Like all the guys
awesome.
That they write movies about. He knows those same guys, and so then he worked for the State Department and had a bunch of different passports from different places. So he's got a lot of stories, and I'm just a civilian that likes to ask questions and get them, poke the bear when I can. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be raw, and, again, it's, if it helps somebody, great. If it's just 2 dudes goofing around in my house upstairs, then that's cool too.
Is that where you're shooting it at your place?
Yeah,
I saw your setup looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, he's a construction guy by trade, so whenever he's
nice. I need one of those.
Yeah, so we got the hickory on the wall. We basically got the bedroom upstairs and gutted it, and we got a floor put in and the barnwood table, and I'm going to hang the AK-47 back there, and we've got a poster of Ben Franklin saying a quote that is definitely not Ben Franklin. That is going to be awesome.
That's some fun shit, man.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. And yeah, so
well, I think you gained a lot of leverage here in this conversation. I think you got a lot of people's attention, and I think there's some great relationships that are going to come out of it.
Yeah, and if you know anybody that is anybody that we're running a program or a special, that if anybody has a health certificate or a certification, be it licensed massage trainer, chiropractic, anything in the health where you would have a certificate, we have a special program. We've got some sponsorship dollars available. So if anybody's watching this and they're a massage therapist, they're a RN, they're a dental hygienist, they're a high school coach or above, then we definitely should have a chat, because we're going to make it we're going to put you in a position where you can't say no.
Love it. Awesome, Joel. Well, hey, great catching up. We haven't talked in ages, and then just like, boom, that's just that relationship level I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I appreciate you jumping on. You're a busy guy. Got a lot going on.
I feel like I talked the whole time, man, and you didn't get to say anything.
Well, that was the goal. That was the goal. That you were spitting out some stuff here that I think everybody just wanted to hear without being interrupted. I'm going to go to the site right away, and facts.com. Yep, and I'm going to start taking my Limitless and my Immune right away.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. So
you helped one guy immediately.
Yeah. Hey, and just think, man, it's gonna help. It's helping you, and it's helping a kid. And when I first started, Hansi, I thought, hey, if I can nourish, or if I can provide 100,000 servings, because I grew up in Rochester, about 100,000 people. I thought if I could get to 100,000 servings, that would be pretty flipping awesome.
Yeah,
100,000. And it literally took 5 years to get to 100,000 servings. Okay. And now we're at 5 million.
And you've been doing this how long?
I learned about Acemannan in 2015 end of 2014, and then we started the buy one give one on February 1st of 2016.
And you've been with Alovea how long?
Since inception. Yeah, so 10 years.
10 years. Good stuff, man. Well, I wish you the best. I hope to see you soon. Maybe get a workout in together sometime.
Yeah.
Hit me up.
Well, now, especially now, I've got my weight down a little bit, so my knees don't hurt as much, and my back's not hurting, and I'm not.
Well, absolutely.
I'm not trying to compete against the 25-year-old dudes that work for the railroad.
No, we're not competing against anybody but ourselves, man.
That's right. I got to tell myself that.
Good stuff. All right.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
If you need anything, call me.
Okay, you got it. Same back at you. See you on the flip side.
Yep.